morning, Stitch Roadies. Thank you for stopping by. I love catching up. If you are new to the channel here, I hope you give us a chance and that you subscribe and give us a thumbs up. I say us because it is G and I. He does all the editing because I don't know how to do that. But I've been busy this week. It's kind of interesting weather. It's supposed to be 80 today, but it looks like it's going to rain. It rained a little bit yesterday. I have been busy with grandchildren, and so not a whole lot of stitching going on. And I have this little quiet moment right now. My oldest grandson is at camp just for the morning. It's rocket camp. Yeah, rocket camp. And he's enjoying himself. And then yesterday we picked up his younger cousin and we went to the movies. It's the first time I have been inside a movie theater since December of 2019. And I'm a big movie buff. I love everything about a movie theater. What I have to say is, it is not going to happen very often now, because literally, for the three of us and snacks, I spent probably over $50. Yeah, that is not going to happen very often. But my grandson wanted to see the Minions, and I wanted the two of them to get together, so it doesn't happen too often. I had to take advantage of it. It was interesting, though, because you make your reservation online, you buy your tickets online, and then you pick out your seats, and I'm going to take a little sip here. And you can see where all the other seats have been purchased. And so no one's sitting next to each other, big comfortable seats. Yeah, it was really different. So I got the seats I always like. And there was actually at the beginning, when we first went to the movie, into the theater, there were only two different parties, us and one other grandma and her grandson. But by the time the movie started, there were probably a group, about 5 different groups, spread out over this huge theater. I cannot imagine that it is an affordable adventure like it used to be. Yeah. So it makes you wonder what's going to happen with the movie industry. I mean, yeah, it's spendy. But it was worth every penny because the two grandsons got together, and my oldest one, you know, he's not quite, he's 10, so he's still in that sweet phase and very tolerant of his cousin. Although it was so funny, before the movie started, the younger one, you know, got a voice that he would project his voice off of a stage. And my older grandson said, "Remember, when the movie starts, you whisper." So sweet. So sweet. So it's been a busy week. Not much stitching going on. But I did want to do a little bit of an update, and I thought today would be a great day to talk about the trees. Did someone say trees? I keep getting questions about the trees, and so I wanted to do a little more in depth about that. But before we get to the trees, because I'm actually going to adjust the camera so I can show you kind of how I get it to the stage where I can stitch. I'll show you what else I'm doing. I'm very excited because this Saturday is the first event that's going to happen at the Acorns and Threads Annex, the first Spotlight Designer event, and Beth Twist is coming, and I've signed up for that. It means that I will have another UFO not UFO. What the heck am I talking? Another whip. And I went through and organized my whips, and I have under 30, and I want to keep it down to 20. So I want to work at getting things done. I'm pretty comfortable with that number, but I could tell when I was counting them that I was like, okay, danger, Will Robinson, danger. Not unlike, Kindred Stitcher, she, caution to the wind for that girl. But, yeah, I know that I will have a new start. I'm very excited about it. I've been to the Annex, which is the classroom area for Acorns and Threads, a couple times for stitchy meetups, but this is actually getting a project from a designer, and yeah, just having some fun times. So what I did, here's my project bag this week. This project bag is by Corey, and they are sold at Acorns and Threads, and this is the small size, and she has larger size ones, but I just love this small one. And look at that beautiful fabric on the back, and she uses I don't know if it's foam, but it's a really well made bag, and then has an adorable charm with the leaf on it. But this has, I purchased this for my smaller projects. And the project I have in here was Pumpkin Spice Everything Nice. And I wanted to get this to the point that when I go to stitchy meetups, that I don't have to do a lot of counting. So it is almost done. It is almost done. All I have left is the fill-in of the pumpkin. So that's going to be like a no-brainer. That is going to be a no-brainer. But I have that all ready, so when I do gather with friends, I can stitch with wild abandon. Yeah. Also, I received my packet from Fat Quarter Shop for You're Not the Boss, which is a stitch along that Kimberly Jolly is doing. You're Not the Boss. I have to say, and you get to download this free alphabet and numbers from Lori Holt on the Fat Quarter Shop site. I have been changing my mind left and right. So you have the sheets for the script and numbers, so you could do whatever you wanted inside. So where it says here, you are the boss of your own quilt, and I love those quilt blocks. I was going to change it to you are the boss of your own stitch, because I do hand embroidery, hand wool stitching, cross stitch, needle turn applique. I just do a lot of stitching. But then I thought I could make something really funny in there. I could make all kinds of snarky comments in there. Or I could keep it sweet. I don't know. It just depends on which personality shows up on the day that I start stitching the script. If you want a really fun, relaxing stitch, you do want to do this one. It is so relaxing. And the way Kimberly is doing it is each week she's doing 2 quilt blocks at a time. But it is so relaxing because what I did was I just outlined 2 squares and I started stitching the quilt blocks. And then when I get those done, I will move it over and stitch 2 more. and I'm using my Morgan hoop. I loosen it, it's loosened right now. I loosen it every time I'm done stitching so that the fabric doesn't get creased. And I use these magnetic thingamajigs that Stitchy Witch 42 Audrey got off of Amazon. And they function as a needle minder to kind of wrap up all the excess fabric. So that's been a really fun stitch. And that's a stitch that when I get a few moments to myself while the grandson's doing something else, I can actually do a few stitches without any stress. No stress, yeah. So there we go with that. So those two were my main stitches for this week. Although the trees have received a huge amount of love because of two things. One is the Morgan hoop, which was introduced to me by the Cotton Harvest, Trina at the Cotton Harvest, and I fell in love with it. It's lightweight, it locks into place, there's different sizes, and so I now have three. I have that small 7-inch one, I have the 10-inch one, and then I have the double one, which is great. They are all, I mean, it's my new favorite on-the-go hoop. I still have the Elan frame, and I still have that old-fashioned wooden one that I can clamp to a table in the van. I did see, though, that at Acorns and Threads, they were carrying the double ones, the double Morgan hoops, so you might want to check that out. We have a few camping trips scheduled ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to that. This fall, hopefully, we'll have a little bit of construction going on around here. I plan this fall to reorganize my floss. I'm looking forward to the Patreon channel for my friend Linda, aka Van Mom. And I'll put as many links as I can remember in the drop-down box. You know what's really funny is I never heard from the winner of the $35 gift card from Fat Quarter Shop. So I am throwing it back up. So if you would like to possibly win a gift card, just put a comment on this. You don't even have to use a special word. Just leave me a comment, and I'll draw another name from this. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think people get busy, and I think because there have been several, I mean, there's some people that are spot on. They win, they contact, they send me an email, and then there's several that have never contacted me, and I'm just not organized enough to put it back out there. But I am with this because everybody wants a gift card. Well, everybody would like, I would think, a gift card from the Fat Quarter Shop. So, yeah. So if you're interested, just leave a comment about something. So let's get on to the trees. The trees was a pattern that my girlfriend Lori and I, Lori and Robin and I went to the largest quilt show in Europe, and it is held in 4 different villages in France. And the villages are in close proximity to each other. And the quilts are hung sometimes in churches or outside, in gardens, in museums, in little cafes. The quilts are hung. It's absolutely, to me, a bucket list quilt show to go to, and it's, let's see if I can pronounce this, La Coiffure d'Europa. But it was an epic trip for me. There were several, not only being with friends, and not only traveling the back roads of France and Germany, but at one point, it's kind of like you feel like you're being taken care of in a spiritual way, because at one point we started out in Paris, and we stayed at an inn or a boutique hotel on one of the back streets in a neighborhood in Paris. And I had one of those moments where the blood just drained out of my head and went directly to my heart, because I realized that this off-the-beaten-path hotel, I had stayed with my mother like 2 years before, and she had since passed away. It was just one of those kind of whoa moments. And the reason I remembered that particular hotel out of the thousands that are in Paris is because it was on a narrow cobblestone street, and when you walked into the lobby, there was a scale model built out of wood, little pieces of wood, of the Cathedral de Notre Dame. That moment, I felt like my mother was saying, have a good time, have a good time. It was just one of those. And the trip for me was just a travel down memory lane. But this quilt show had the largest vendor mall I had ever seen in my entire life. I mean, all kinds of crafts, artwork, fabric, kits, styles of quilting. The vendor mall was mind-blowing. But Lori and I saw this cross stitch that was done, and it was the trees. And so we bought the pattern, and it was La Foresta de Fenice by Renato Perelin. And they have an Etsy site, which I'll put in the drop-down box. Now, to find the drop-down box, you go to just below the video, and there's like this little word that says more, and you just click on more, and then the drop-down box appears, and all the links are in there. What was really funny is that I brought the pattern back with me, and I went to Acorns and Threads. It was all what I thought, after all, I was in France, was written in French. And it wasn't later that I realized it was written in Italian, which is so funny because I took both French and Italian in school. Yeah, that's a joke on me. That's a joke on me. But I took the pattern up to Acorns and Threads because I was at the very beginning of my journey. I know this is a story. Go put it on pause and go get a drink and go to the restroom if you have to. But I took it to Acorns and Threads, and because I knew Janine would be able to figure out how much fabric and how many skeins of threads I needed to finish this project. And it was a cross-stitch project, so you really didn't need to speak the language. And it was a one color, so there wasn't any trying to figure out the different colors in a different language. No, one color, one piece of fabric. And she definitely knows my tolerance for fabric. And at that time, I was, I branched out some, but at that time I was very, very at the very beginning of my new journey, my reinvented journey, because I had cross-stitched a little before. But then I stopped, and then I was starting again. And I wanted it in a blue color, like the sample that I saw hanging in the vendor booth. So she picked out a kind of a soft blue, not a baby blue. It has a little more gray in it, but it's a blue, and it's an even weave. And that's all I know about it, because I have since lost the tag. And then she gave me a whole box of, it is DMC, a whole box of DMC, and it is number 3865. 3865. Although I realized that I just got a little worried that I was going to run out, so I bought 3 more skeins just to make sure, you just want to be sure that you don't run out. But it had languished. It's like I started it with gusto, and then the stitchy bug hit, and I was buying all these different cross stitch, and it languished, and it was one color, and so, sometimes it didn't spark my interest to do it, but let me just grab it here. So you can see what we're talking about, how big it is. So here's the beginning, and this is how long ago it was. I masking taped the edge. So let's see. So here it is. This is what I have gotten done so far. And I am right here, and this is how much fabric I have left. So that's how much stitching I have left. But this is how much I have done. Now, I'm a sewing method person, and this particular project requires, someone wanted to see the back. I did a lot of weaving. I didn't do a lot of start and stops. No start and stops. It was a lot of weaving and sewing to get this done. But yeah, isn't it fantastic? Yeah. But what has really helped me with this project is the Morgan hoop and Melanie on Facebook, and I'll put that link in the drop down. She started a private group on Facebook that you can join, I believe. I don't know if there's a limit to the number of people, but it's called 25/7, and it's where you try to stitch every day on one big project, and you either do 25 stitches or 25 minutes. Now, I have to admit, I don't do it every day. When I'm camping, I'm not taking this project with me. I take something smaller, and but it's knowing that it's there, and it would be boring to keep posting 25 stitch. I did 25 stitch, you wouldn't even see the difference. So that site has made a huge difference, just for the encouragement and the specialness of it, seeing other people, and we're always looking for these little games to make ourselves have fun with our stitching. Yeah. So I'm going to readjust the camera so I can show you exactly how I prep this project to actually begin to stitch. So stay tuned. This might be kind of a weird angle, but it'll get the work done. So here is my project, and it is a lot of fabric, and so I do this with several of my pieces that are bigger, lots of fabric to deal with. I use these clips that you get them like at quilt stores or fabric stores. They're just little red plastic clips. I keep a box of those. And then these magnetic, I think they were actually developed to keep cords wrapped up. But because they're magnetic, they also function as a needle minder. So this is all I need to get this project going. So here's my trees, all in their glory, and I'm working right in this area. So I'm gonna flip this over, and I just roll this up. And I figure out where I want to center my hoop. When I'm done stitching for the day, I loosen the hoop up, but I just keep it in place. I just pop this thing out. And because I do the sewing method, I want it to be fairly taut, and I like, this is the peculiar part, is I like everything to be lined up. So I have to, I can move this around to get it totally lined up. But here I go. I'm going to tighten this up, and then I just check it. Because I use the sewing method a lot, I want to be able to feel from underneath that it's tight enough for me to do that when I want to do that. And also by doing the sewing method, which is where you have your hand down below and you pushing up as you go in and out with your needle, you can feel when you get a knot going before it becomes a big problem. Okay, so we have this, and then I'm going to roll this side up. And then I take the red clips and I clip this wad together, top and bottom. So I've got top and bottom, and then I want a couple more over here. And I keep these in a little magnetic, trying to figure out that camera. This is one of those spice rack things that's magnetic on the bottom from IKEA. So I have all four, top and bottom, clipped with the clips. And then this magnetic thingamajig. See, it clips together. I'm just going to put it around, and it's going to hold that wad of fabric. It's like added support. And see, this particular one, I have my needle on. And so you can make that by moving this out more. This stretches more. You can gather the fabric up better. And so there, I'm ready to stitch. So when I go to stitch, I have my stitching pillow, and I set it on my stitching pillow, and then I'm just stitching in and out with the sewing method. And at night, when I'm done, well, not even at night, but when I'm done stitching, I just loosen this up and I pop this top off, but I just leave it there and store it next to my chair for the next time. And so it contains all of that wad of fabric. I haven't lost a needle since I've started doing this, and these little clips help keep that fabric all together. I just am really a fan of the Morgan hoop. Okay, stay tuned. Well, that might have been a little weird, huh? But I wanted to give you an idea of how I contain a big project like that. And the same with any, those little, and I'll try to figure out, I'll ask Audrey what the actual name of those and put it in the drop down for the link on those squeegee things. But know that those magnetic stretchy things come in some different sizes. And I think these are the small. So I have them all over the place because they work really, really well. Well, that's all I've been doing this week because of my fabulous grandsons that just want to be with me all the time. Yeah. And we'll see what happens on Saturday at Beth Twist's. I'm looking forward to what that project is. All of her projects are so beautiful that I'm really looking forward to that. And just being in a class. Yeah, being in a workshop, I should say, a workshop. Thank you for putting up with me and my fumbling, and we'll see you next time. Everything is going well. Oh, I just wanted to tell you one more thing. That book that I'm reading, The Girl Who Wrote in Silk, I want them to make a movie out of it. It would be an epic movie like Gone with the Wind. Oh, that book is just so, I mean, hook, line, and sinker. I'm hook, line, and sinkered on that one. Okay, that's it. Thank you, thank you. Love you guys. Take care, keep stitching, and we'll see you the next time.